Good morning. Welcome to Morning Scone, Tuesday edition. We'll talk about the Pelicans, whose season very well could come to an end tonight, and a new name in the LSU quarterback transfer conversation, potentially. We'll get into that here over the next 10 minutes or so. As always, brought to you by Get Signed, S-Y-N-D, digital autograph app for your smartphone. Check it out. G-E-T-S-Y-N-D. Download the app if you would be so kind. And as always, hit the red subscribe button here on the page. I'd appreciate it greatly. So, you know the movie American Beauty with Kevin Spacey, where he's kind of narrating the movie, and near the end he says, this is the day I'm going to die. It's odd, but it kind of feels like that with the Pelican season today. It's like, this is the day the season's going to end. You wake up kind of knowing that that's going to happen. Especially if Golden State plays with the same intensity or efficiency that they played with in Game 5, or Game 4 rather. It's hard to imagine New Orleans coming away with a win. Golden State on their home floor tonight is an 11.5-point favorite. So clearly the odds makers are assuming that Golden State is going to floor it to try to end this tonight so as not to have to get on a plane and come back to New Orleans, especially knowing that Houston's waiting and what that series is probably going to be like for both teams. The flip side of that, and something Alvin Gentry did on Monday that I really liked, is he gave the team off. He told them, hey, look, go rest your minds, go rest your bodies. And to me, what that felt like was I don't know if you've ever done any distance running or if you've watched it, but I'm most certainly you have in the Olympics or something like that. Distance runners have what they call their kick. So you pace yourself for the entire race. You see it with horse racing too. We just had the Kentucky Derby. So you see the jockey kind of keep their horse, right, until within the pack until they make their move, and then it's when you're down the stretch, it's an all-out sprint to the finish. So similarly with distance running, right? You pace yourself with the other runners, and then you realize, okay, if I start sprinting now, there's a certain point where you realize you can sprint to the finish before you just completely peter out, and that's called your kick. So you got to judge it properly. So here's hoping Alvin Gentry's doing that with this team, that he's judging their effort and their intensity properly, and saying, hey, look, give them a night off or a day off because they played Game 4 Sunday, lost, had to get on a plane for 4 hours, travel to Oakland, and now their season's on the line tonight. And he said, look, Monday, guys, just rest your minds, rest your body, because my guess is he knows this is going to be a 48-minute sprint. I mean, if you don't win, your season's over. So it's just an all-out empty the tank tonight. So if nothing else, it should make for a really fun Game 5, provided that New Orleans is efficient and competitive. I can't really break down the matchup anymore because it's what it is. I mean, you saw the adjustment that Steve Kerr made in going small and inserting Andre Iguodala back into the starting lineup. And maybe that plays into New Orleans' favor if they can make shots early in the game. They just missed so many point-blank looks in the first quarter, which led to one of the worst shooting days of the season for the Pelicans, as we saw, where they shot just 35% from the floor and 15% from three. They were 4 of 26, which was their worst three-point shooting day of the entire season. Not a good time to have that happen. In any event, let's see if New Orleans can maybe go be efficient scoring in the first quarter so as not to be out of it before you even get to the second quarter. But I assume that this is going to be a sprint tonight in Game 5. So it's a 9:30 tip, so it's a late tip out in Oakland, but maybe New Orleans can extend the season to another day. Look, Pels got to get back on a plane to New Orleans anyway, so you might as well get back on a plane and play another game. So, and if you get to a Game 6 on your home floor, then you start to go, all right, well, win a home game, and then it's a winner-take-all Game 7. Again, the odds are massively against New Orleans. They're massively against New Orleans tonight as an 11.5-point dog, but I'm curious to see if the Pels put forth their best effort, how this might go tonight. So no doubt on tomorrow's show we'll recap the game and maybe be doing a post-mortem on the season. We've talked a good bit over the weekend that Cal running back grad transfer, Trey Watson, picked Texas over Texas Tech and LSU. And the feeling I got not long ago was that LSU was leading for Trey Watson, and when that recruitment was going on. And you kind of got the sense of late that maybe they were deciding to go another direction other than running back, namely quarterback. And then Ed Ogeron seemed to confirm that last week when he was in Houston, and he said, they wanted to save a scholarship for the possibility of a transfer quarterback. Well, You only got one scholarship left in your 2018 class. So if you give it to Trey Watson, then you don't have the option of signing a transfer quarterback. So the question has kind of been who. Most of the grad transfers that are on you know who's on the market because they're graduate transfers. They've already announced. There's, of course, the possibility that a traditional transfer could come in, like Fehoko or Giles or Moss did, where they transfer and they have to sit out a year, then they can finish out their eligibility at LSU. And a lot of times you don't see that happen until after spring or even into summer, maybe till the spring semester ends. Guys will finish up school and then make their decision if they're going to leave. So I think Ed Ogeron was trying to keep his options open. By the way, that's absolutely the right call. Now, they've put themselves in this spot by not signing a quarterback in this past recruiting class, and LSU didn't sign a quarterback 2 years ago either. I guess you could say 3 years ago. The 17 class, of course, they had both Brennan and Narcisse. The 16 class, they did not sign a quarterback. So, I mean, it's, as a random aside, it's amazing to me that LSU's greatest deficiency over the last decade plus, they haven't addressed in 2 of the last 3 recruiting classes, which is just maddening, but that's another whole topic in and of itself. So the issue is one created by LSU, but I at least respect the fact that they're trying to address it potentially with a transfer. And it's true that a lot of times a grad transfer is leaving because they can't play, and why would you assume that they'd be better than what you already have? And I wouldn't, but I would also say you're not guaranteed that Brennan, Narcisse, McMillan all stick around. Someone is going to lose that job, and it's quite possible that you have a Lindsey Scott situation where you get into fall camp, you start to see how reps are being divvied up, and if one of the guys who's fallen down the depth chart sees that unfolding and says, I'm going to go play JUCO, I'm going to find a landing spot where I can play this year in junior college and then get back into the FCS the FBS the following year, it makes a lot of sense. So that very well could happen. It could also be a situation where someone like that from another school leaves and wants to transfer into LSU, but you need the spot open. So I get what LSU's doing. It's unconventional because they've had recruiting misses and they've put themselves in this spot, but at least they're doing what they can to address it. And to this point, I hadn't really heard a name, but the one that's starting to flutter about a little bit is Joe Burrow. Now, he's a redshirt junior at Ohio State, so he's entering his 4th year. 2018 will be his 4th year at Ohio State. He is going to be a grad transfer, so he's eligible immediately with 2 years of eligibility to play. This is similar to what Stephen Rivers did, if you remember. He left LSU, grad transfer, went to Vanderbilt, and played some there, but ultimately lost the gig, and then went to Northwestern State for his 5th year in college, and as a 5th-year senior. So he'll have 2 years of eligibility remaining. There was a report from the Land of 10, which is a Big Ten blog about Burrow, saying that potentially he's considering Florida now as a possible landing spot. Now, the interesting thing about Burrow, though, also is Burrow hasn't announced for certain that he's leaving Ohio State. He went through spring, but they have Dwayne Haskins, they have Tate Martell. So the feeling around there is Burrow's going to be the 3rd guy, the odd man out behind Haskins and Martell. And if it happens that way, then he may well leave. So that's a name to keep an eye on, if nothing else, as a guy that may well be looking to leave Ohio State. Again, he has graduated, and it'll be interesting to see, what happens. So Burrow was quoted here in this article. I want to read it to you because his dad tweeted a picture of Joe Burrow at his Ohio State graduation, his cap and gown, and said, "Proud of Joe, on to the next challenge." There was a quote which said, quote, "I came here to play. I didn't come here to sit on the bench for 4 years, and I know I'm a pretty darn good quarterback." Burrow said that after the spring game, "and I want to play somewhere," end quote. So it's kind of leading you to believe that if it's not at Ohio State, that he's going to jump ship and go play somewhere, and maybe that'll be LSU if they can get in. But, of course, it looks like they're going to have to battle for a team like Florida as well, where they got freshman Emory Jones coming in, and then guys like Felipe Franks and Kyle Trask coming back, but neither has really made a big impact. So LSU's kind of in a similar boat, right, where they've got 3 scholarship quarterbacks. None has really made a splash, and the question is, could Burrow or anybody come in and win the job immediately? But it's a name to watch and something to keep an eye on at LSU, as They're trying to figure out who's going to play quarterback in 2018. Now that, whoever that is, would most certainly change what we, or add a different dimension to the conversation we had yesterday on AFR. At Vegas Insider, which set LSU's win total at 7.5, the over/under at 7.5 last month, they gave a game-by-game thumbnail for LSU yesterday, and the last paragraph is what caught a fire on the show on Monday. I'll read it to you. The Tigers will face difficult late-season tests. No, I'm sorry. Can you find 8 wins on the 2018 LSU schedule? If you give the Tigers the benefit of the doubt, then maybe they can win 7 games. But it's easy to see LSU fighting at 6-6, finishing at 6-6, or even 5-7 in 2018, and that means they go under their total of 7.5. So Vegas Insider predicting LSU to go 5-7 or 6-6, and if you give them the benefit of the doubt, maybe they can win 7. It's amazing to see how the target has been lowered for LSU football, and if this season goes like that, it's going to be lively in these parts, y'all. But we'll see if LSU can add a quarterback or get one of the guys on campus to emerge, and that is, for me, the one variable that could change the outlook of the season. If one of the guys at quarterback just goes out there and is phenomenal. It's what happened at A&M with Johnny Manziel in 2011 or 2012, where no one was expecting the redshirt freshman guy to even start, but he did and won the Heisman Trophy. I'm not saying LSU has a Manziel, but I'm saying that type of thing is what could turn their season. So, in the meantime, hit the subscribe button if you don't mind. We'll watch Pels tonight, and we'll be back tomorrow for another edition of Morning Scone. Y'all have a great day.